The crazy penguin teaches you Linux. Nixnoob.com.
Welcome to Nixnoob. In this video, we're going to go over Dolphin configuration. And Dolphin is the default file manager in KDE. And you can find your file manager right here at the bottom. Looks like a little folder. You can also find that from your start menu. You could just search and type in Dolphin. Or you can hit Alt F2 and that'll pop up a little drop down. I could show you what that looks like, but this is coming from my other computer, so you can just type in Dolphin or any program and launch it from here. So, in Dolphin, there's a lot to cover in this video. So let's get started. First of all, you have panels. So yours isn't going to look like this because I have a terminal panel attached to the bottom. And this is a file info panel over here. You can get to your panels by clicking on this hamburger menu on the top right in Dolphin, and you can click on show panels. So we can turn off places, we can turn off information, and we can turn off our terminal. So, and you see those have F key shortcuts. So panels F9 for places, F11, F7, F4. So you can hit those and turn those on that way. Show panels, information, show panels. I like to leave the terminal. You also have folders, which is just another way to browse the file system. So places, you can put places you go to a lot in places. Folders will allow you to, browse your whole file system. I usually keep that turned off and just use places, to be honest, because, you can just drill down here pretty fast. So I'm going to turn that off for now. Show panels, folders, turn that back off. So having an attached terminal down here is really nice, even if you don't know Linux, because I can come here and say, let me just go to home and go to downloads. You can see down here it did a CD home Nixnoob downloads, CD home Nixnoob. So every time I drill into a directory, it's typing the CD command in there. So it's showing me the command to change directories. So if I did cd .. to go back up a directory, it'll take it a second. But so now here, if I did a pwd, which is parent working directory, you can see I'm in home Nixnoob downloads. You can also see up here I'm in my downloads folder. And we can change this to show us the full path all the time. But it's nice having an attached terminal. Especially if you're running applications and stuff. If I had an application in here, I could just and type the name of the application and that would run. So it's nice having that. Also, if I wanted to make a file, let's say I wanted to make a text file, let's take the output of man. If we do man ls, that's going to print the manual for ls. We could also pipe that to a pager so that we could scroll through it or search it from the terminal. Or we could just do man ls and then a greater than says create a new file. And we can say ls.txt. And so now we just pipe the output of that text file or the command, the output of the command for the manual page to ls, and we just pipe that to a text file. We could also split it into a bunch of files using the split command. We could tar it into a zip file or like turn it into a tar file. Gzip it, right? If I gzip ls.txt, now it's zipped. So it is really nice having this terminal down there. Even if you don't learn Unix, because just having it there when you browse around, it'll kind of help you learn terminal commands. We have, starting at the left over here, a couple different views. We have our default, which is kind of like an icon view. We have a regular like folder list view, and then we have a detailed view that is going to give us more information, and we can choose what information it gives us in this view. And now let's go into, I believe it's right clicking to change right click on the top there, and we could say created. We can say when it was accessed, show us any tags. For images, we've got some metadata. For audio, we've got some metadata, so we can add as many columns as we want. A rating if we're using star ratings in our file manager. So right click on that to change what you see in the columns there, and then down here we've got a zoom, so we can just make our icons bigger or smaller, and that's per. Or I know in the settings it's per type. Yeah, so it's per type here. So if I made these really big here, go back here, make those small, it's going to keep the settings per view type. All right, so we can also split right here, which is really nice. When you split, then you can drag stuff, back and forth between two windows. Whatever window you have active, when you hit close, that's the window that's going to close. By default, you can change that. So let's get into the settings. So there's a lot of settings here. We're going to go to configure and then configure Dolphin to start with. So basic overall interface, we've got where do we start every time we open Dolphin. By default, it's going to start with the last view you had open. So if I close this right now and open Dolphin again, it's going to take me to where I was. Personally, I usually like that to start with my home directory, but that's completely up to you. So let's go back to configure Dolphin, and let's say start with our home folder. And then opening folders, we can have it open a separate instance or only open within the current Dolphin instance. So that's going to basically just make a new tab. We can show the full path in the title bar, and we can show a filter bar. And I like having separate Dolphin windows open. I find it easier just drag and drop between separate Dolphin windows than tabs. But you can drag and drop between tabs. I like to have the filter bar. Then open new tabs at the end. That's fine. Shift between. I like this. Turning off split view closes the view in focus. Yep. And then begin in split view mode. No, I don't like that. So basically for this page, this is how I like this setup. For previews, we can turn on what types of files get previewed. I'm going to add text files. And then we can also, and this is super important, we can say remote storage, show previews for, and then we can set how large we want to see remote previews. So if we're talking to a remote server or a remote file system, that's going to set, when we see previews and when we don't, because you don't want to be pulling down, 10 megabyte files to make previews when you're just trying to, look at a remote directory. Confirmations, we can tell it basically turn off all the confirmations for like empty and trash. It's going to ask you, are you sure? Moving files or folders to trash, by default that isn't checked, but we could turn that on. So basically when I go to empty my trash, it's going to ask me, are you sure? But it's not going to ask me, for confirmation when I move something to the trash. So if I just took, let's go to home downloads. I need to make that a little bigger. Let's go to downloads and let's go source. I don't need any of this. Actually, I do want to keep that. Let's go to our test images. I just want to get to something I can delete. Here we go. So here's some stuff that we can delete, and I will just go delete this right here, move to trash. And when I move that, actually I can delete all of these. We have all these on the server. I'm going to show you in just a second. So now when I go to delete my trash, if I go empty, did not mean to open that. it's going to ask me for confirmation. So that's what that confirmation dialog is. We could turn that off if we didn't want it to give us confirmation, or we could make it give us confirmation when we say move to trash right there. One thing nice about just the way files and stuff work and KDE is, let me go to a different view there, and this will get easier as soon as we add all our buttons to the top. I like to have a back, up directory button, an undo button, and we'll add those in just a second, which makes this much more useful in my opinion. But so let's go back to home and go to documents, and let's just say I accidentally had all these selected and went to move them here. When I drop, it's going to ask me, do you want to move it? Do you want to copy it? Do you want to link it or cancel? So that's very nice. If I move it here, drop it, again, it's going to ask me if I want to move it, copy, or link. So I can make a link like that. I can make a copy like that. It's going to yell at me that the file name is already exists because that link has the same file name, which is fine. I'm just going to call this whatever 2. So the way that works is actually better than a lot of file systems. Same if I just wanted to make a copy of this. Copy, if I go make a copy and then paste one file, that name already exists. So it's not going to let me just paste that there. And it tells me to enter a new file name. So that's one step. Most file systems, that would be 2 steps. Like in Windows, if you make a copy and paste it, it automatically appends copy. So then you have to go rename it. Like you're taking 1 step and turning it into 3 steps. So that's very nice the way that this does renaming. You can also just right click and rename if you wanted to. And it wouldn't do that if I was copying that to somewhere it doesn't exist, right? So if I come into like LMMS folder and go paste, it's just going to let me paste that because that doesn't exist there. All right, back to our configuration. So back into configure Dolphin. All right, and we were on the confirmations and then panels. We can have it show previews in the information panel. We can have it autoplay media files if we want in the information panel. Show items on hover, use long dates, etc. And then status and location bars. We can make our location bar editable. And we can also say show the full path inside the location bar. I prefer this. When you have this not set, I'll come back and apply that in just a second. So up here's our location bar. It's not going to show us, it's going to show us the last directory a lot of the times. And then to change that, if I click in here, it's going to give me the full path and I can copy and paste it, but I prefer just to have it like that all the time instead of having it go to the buttons. And that's a personal preference. The buttons are nice if you just want to get back. I don't mind just deleting the end part, but it is nice to have a button that you can just click on if you're jumping around. But that's a personal preference. I prefer just to show me the full path all the time. So I'm going to go set it up like that. And now my location bar is always just the full path. So I can't click on here to go back to that. I would have to just get rid of that and hit enter. But I do prefer that. Okay, so back to configure. We've got our view. So we went through all these, the previews. Yep. View. We've got use common display for all folders, or remember display style for each folder. That basically allows you to change your view type and some of your settings on a per folder basis. I prefer it just to treat all of them the same, but that's a personal preference. I mean, all of this is personal preferences. Browsing open archives as a folder. If you want to be able to open an archive and see it as a folder, and then drag the contents into another folder, you can do that. Open folders during drag operations. I do like that. Show information on item hover. If you have the information panel, you don't need to have that because it'll the information panel will change and show you the information on hover. But if you don't have the information panel open, then that would basically, show a little pop-up with exactly the same information that's in the information panel if you hover over an item and pause there for a second. Show selection marker, yes. Rename single items in line, yes. So that's all good. Content display. Basically, we can set our sorting modes, how deep it goes when it's showing us the size of a folder. We've got icons. We can change our icon size, change our font, and these are for the different views. So icons view, compact view, and details view, we can set our default icon size and font for each of those items. So I'm going to apply this real quick. Okay, and so the moving items expand items. What that does is just if I take an icon here and I move it into this folder, it's going to move into that folder and show me what's in that folder before I drop it. And I'm just going to say copy. And you can see how that's really nice. In Windows, when you drag and drop stuff from one directory to another, if those directories are on different drives, the default behavior changes, and most people don't know this. And you can hold down Ctrl, Alt, and Shift to change the default behavior in Windows. And you can do that here too. It will give you a little icon. If I move into this folder, if I hold down Shift, you can see that just changed. Ctrl and Alt. But basically, you don't have to do that in Kubuntu. So on Windows, if it's coming from a different drive, I believe it does a copy. If it's on the same drive, it wants to do a move. And I might be backwards on that. But basically, just dragging and dropping icons in Windows changes based on what drive you're copying from and what drive you're copying to. I much prefer that I'm moving a bunch of stuff and having it ask me, do you want to copy? Do you want to move? Do you want to link? So here we've got one that's the identical. And so I can tell it to, for all identical, just skip, or I can ask it to rename it. Anyway, so you get the idea. Very nice. So here's one of the reasons that I like KDE over every other file system. I mean, having the attached terminal is really nice. Having the info there is really nice. But I can also split and go to a remote file system. So I'm not going to go into how to set this up. If you'd like to see a separate video just on setting up SSH and RSA keys using keygen, SSH keygen, etc., putting your keys on a server so that you can authenticate without typing a password, let me know and I'd be happy to make a video about that. But we can go to, I have a Linode server that I just set up just for this, and I can copy the path to that. And so now I can just go fish : / oops, I don't want that to be uppercase. Fish : / and I can paste its root at the IP address for that server. Enter. And now we are seeing this is a remote server. And I can copy and paste stuff. It looks like I already did. But so here, man, I really need to set up my icons. So I let my navigation direction stuff. So I can just drag and drop. Like here, I'll delete this 4, delete permanently. Okay, and then I'll go find 4 over here and just drag that to the server. Copy here. So I just dragged, from my local file system to a remote file system without having to use FTP or anything. And this is more secure than FTP. But I'm also seeing previews. And I can also filter. So we did turn on the filter bar. And that allows me to search for like, let's see, I'm gonna copy a text file over here just for the fun of it. Copy here. So I've got a text file on the remote server. I just dragged it over there. If I double click on it, I'm editing on the remote server. This is a test. This is a test. And when I save that, that is saving that on the remote server. So if we open this up, you can see this is a test is there. So now that is different than the copy I have on my system. Super nice. And being able to see previews on your remote file system. There's not an FTP program that I'm aware of that you can buy that lets you see previews and be able to filter at the same time. So if I did ls, there's my ls.text. I'm seeing the text preview. I can zoom in on that, make my previews bigger. That's actually making a preview of the text. If we get rid of this and go back to our images, you can see it just rebuilt all those thumbnails. So if these were actual images, working on a website, really nice to be able to see the images on the remote file system and be able to see previews for that. And to be able to just drag and drop to a remote file system. And these could both be remote file systems. I should have set up another Linode server just so I could drag and drop between servers. So you can do that as well. Just drag and drop between your old server and your new server. Super fantastic. And yeah, this is one of the main reasons, I love the KDE file system, Dolphin, so much. And you used to be able to do this all in their older file system, Conqueror, as well. And actually, there were some ways that Conqueror was better. The latest KDE or the latest Kubuntu Conqueror doesn't work, or last time I checked it didn't. Conqueror would allow you to split these screens as many ways as you wanted and then save that as a profile. So you could really, you could have some strange, setups where you had a remote server where one folder was your Apache configs and then your remote website directory and then stuff on another server, and just have basically a whole project laid out with everything you needed and save that as a profile and just fire that up when you needed it. Anyway, so back to configuration. If you would like to see how to set this up again, let me know, and I will make a video on that. I'm going to close this remote server view. All right, and then you can see I have little icons here. That's because I have this running under. I made a Git repository and added these, and so that's super nice. This is just showing me what's currently up to date in Git. So if I went and made a change here, like I'll make the same change I made on the server. This is a test. And we save that. Now for the differencing to work, you need a diff tool like KDiff or meld is the one I'm currently using. If I right click on this and go to get log, here's my log, and I can click on this and it'll show me the difference between what's between the versions. So that was when I first added it. So everything is different there. So that'll show your difference between histories. Right now I would have to just do a diff to see the difference here, I believe. I don't think I can just see that here. Meld might do it. There we go. So if I just open it and meld, it's showing me that the difference right now is that I added this as a test. But this lets you see difference between versions, which is really nice. So if we just added that, normally I would just do that from the command line, and that's another reason I like having the command line git add tac u, which is update or restage everything that I've already committed, and then just git commit. And this is a bad commit message. Normally you would describe what you changed. And now that should change. It will take it a second. And I don't have my refresh. Let's see, F5. There we go. So now if we go and look at the log, get log, and go to the latest change, we should be able to see that line changed. So we can see our historical changes, and we can see what's in Git and what's not. Turning that on and off, we would just come here to configure Dolphin, and under context menu, you have all these options, and you can download new services here as well. But so you've got like Mercurial, you've got Git, you've got Subversion, all built right in. I didn't have to install anything for that to work. So documents or downloads is where I've got that. Images, all right. And so now it doesn't have those icons anymore. I just turned off the Git functionality. I usually leave that on. And then, actually, I'm going to say later because I also want to turn on the delete. But you see, they also have Dropbox here. Apply, okay, and let's go F5. You're going to refresh, or do I have to restart? I have to restart it because, yep. Downloads. Oh, yeah, there we go. So now we've got our Git statuses back. Okay, so I detoured a little bit there just to show you the remote file viewing and stuff. Super powerful. Let's get back into our configuration here because we've pretty much gone through all of the configure Dolphin stuff. Now we can get into our trash. We can have it automatically clean up every so often. We can have it show a warning. We can limit our trash size to a percentage of our disk space. The context menus we were just in, and yeah, you can download new services. And so the next place to go to is configure our toolbars. And this is awesome. Basically, our toolbar up here, we can add as much as we want. One thing I didn't show you is hidden files. If I go, let's just touch, oops, I'm not in there, touch.test, or yeah, anything that starts with a dot file is hidden by default. So right here in your hamburger menu, you can say show hidden files. You can also right click and go to properties and change the permissions of a file. So very important, and also mark a file as executable. So that's important. If you're running a web server or something, you'll have to change permissions, make it where the group can view and modify, or you can also do that using your standard, Linux chmod commands down here in the terminal. But it is nice to be able to just, right click on a directory and go to properties and go permissions and say everyone can view and modify, set the group for the, like if you're running a web server, you'd set the group to either nobody or www-data or Apache or something like that. And then you'd say apply to all directories and then okay, and that would apply those permission changes across all your folders. So that's super nice. All right, so back to the toolbars. I just wanted to show you that show hidden files is right here by default. All right, so configure toolbars, but we can add show hidden files right to our taskbar. If we apply that, now we've got show hidden files right here where we can just click that on and off, which is super nice. Okay, so let's go. I want to look for back. Is it up a directory? Yeah, up. I want to be able to go up a directory. And we're going to move this up, and you can see we have a separator here. So I want back, forward, and I want to be able to go up a directory, apply. So now I can just click here and go up a directory. And it's not doing that while I've got this open, but as soon as I'm done with this, we'll be able to do it. So let's get rid of this. So we've got just a ton of options here. We can add more spacers, just lots of stuff. Usually what I like to have, let me just go look at my other system here for a second. I like to go up, and then I like to have undo and refresh. So I'm going to add undo right there. Up, undo, and then refresh. I mean, refresh is just F5, but it's nice to have a button there. All right, so now we've got undo, refresh on there, and that's pretty much it. Apply. But if we look at our options here, you can see that there's a long list of items that you can add to your menu. Okay, so now I can just go up a directory, up another directory. Super nice. I can go back to the previous directory, back to the previous directory, and I can refresh my file system, and I can turn on hidden files or turn off hidden files right there. Super nice. So that's really, really customizable, and trying to think if there's anything else that I really want to show in Dolphin. Oh, this search is really nice, and it's easy to accidentally turn that off. If you accidentally turn it off, you can hit the search button up here. Actually, no, this is completely different. So I should go into that. This is going to search and allow you to search through multiple files for file name or for content. Like we put test in this right here, so I can say I want to search the content for test from where I'm currently at, and it's showing me that ls text has the word test in it. File names, and I'm in this view right here. I can change that to just be this, right? So in our search results, we can have either the detailed view or the icon view. So let's look for 2.jpg, and we want that to be the file name. And there we go. It found from where we're currently at, a couple instances of those. And then these also, you can see, have a 2 in their file name. All right. We can close that search. The filter is different, and I don't know if there's an easy way to just get the filter back without opening sort by filter. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. I'm sure there's an easy way. It'll probably tell me right when I go here to add it back, configure Dolphin, and then we want to show filter bar. If I just turn that off and turn that back on, now we have our filter bar back. So this is different. This will just filter what I'm currently looking at. And that's it. If I hit the red X, it goes away and I have to go add it back. If I hit that, I wonder if Control F. Let's see, Control F. Nope, that does the find. There's definitely a shortcut key to get that. Configured off. I never close mine, so it's always there. Apply, but the red X will make it go away. Once you do a filter, the little black thing here will just clear your filter. And this works for remote repositories. So if I came here and did fish, that was root. So if I did a, let's see, do we have ls text in here? We do. So if I were to type ls, I can filter that as well. Which, again, is so nice. Being able to filter and see previews on a remote file system is just fantastic. I use that daily, and nothing else comes close. All right. Well, I think that's everything I wanted to show you. I mean, there's other cool stuff like batch renaming. Let me close this. Batch renaming by default is just going to rename by number. So if I took all these and just went right click and said rename, that's going to rename those numerically. And I already had a 1.jpg and a 2.jpg, so let's just go cancel and let's rename those and make it a image and then the number. And so that's just going to rename those. And you can see it did. Image 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's also a program called KRename that allows you to do batch renames a lot more, with a lot more functionality, being able to do multiple find replaces on your file names, being able to use regular expressions for your find and replace in your file names. But I will save that for another video. I think I covered everything I wanted to go over in this video, which is a lot, but there is a lot that makes the KDE file system Dolphin so great. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please comment below, and I will try to answer them as quickly as I can. And thank you for watching this video, and I hope you have a nice day.